Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, and we're going to be discussing a book review, at the end some spoilers, for Maurice Druon's first book in the Accursed Kings series, The Iron King. This is one that I was really looking forward to. When I was in college, I studied history, so anything of sort of a broader historical fiction. Of course, this is very much centered in the Capetian dynasty. Philip IV, King of France, called Philip the Fair, is the main character of this book. And what Maurice Druon does well is, though yes, he is filling in the gaps, we could say, there is a lot of history in this. And if you go to page 329, he begins what he calls historical notes. And it is page after page after page of historical details that help you really appreciate the work that went into this and actually the historical context. So what is essentially the purpose of this series? And it's an entire series. The book opens up after years of Philip IV's essentially systematic extinction of the Knights Templars. Now, we know the Knights Templars because of all the historical dreams that even young historians have. The Knights Templars are stuff of legends. And when we come to this era, they're at the very end of their power, but they have a lot of money. And King Philip, Philip IV, he wants nothing more than to discover, find the power and the royal coffers of the Knights Templar. And so we essentially come on to the scene when he has captured, arrested, and is going to be executing the Grand Master of the Knights Templar. And as the Grand Master, his name is Jacques de Molay, as he is essentially being burned at the stake, he shouts out a curse, not only on all those that are there, primarily though directed at King Philip IV, and essentially says, I accurse you, and this is really the main thrust of this initial book. I'll read it on the back cover. Accursed, you shall be accursed to the 13th generation. And that's sort of how the story begins. Well, what is the ultimate plot of this? It's going to be tracking the downfall of Philip's family's dynasty, the Capetian dynasty. And again, there's going to be intrigue, there's going to be drama, there's going to be scandal, but the truth of it obviously is real, and this Capetian dynasty is going to fall. However, the story that is crafted, the dialogue, of course, that is going to be somewhat made up. But there's some characters here. Philip's children, he has 3 sons, Louis, Philippe, and Charles. He has a daughter, Isabel. She's married to the King of England, King Edward II. Now, she is not in a happy marriage. In fact, Edward II prefers men to her. So she really is the loveless queen, is what she's called in this book. And the plot is going to begin when her cousin, Robert of Artois, is wanting to stick it to his aunt. And his aunt is the mother of a couple girls, sisters. 2 of them are being accused of adultery. And those 2 sisters are married to Philip's other 2 sons, okay? So you've got Philip, his sons, 2 of their wives are being accused of adultery. If this is proven true, not only will those knights that they've adulterated themselves with be killed, but the entire, even future heirs will be called into question. How do we know that they are actually the true heirs if there are children that may have been sired from adultery? Well, he brings this, Robert of Artois brings this to Isabella, and essentially is playing on her isolation, on her sorrow that she herself has nothing to live for, and she agrees. So she is going to break the news. She is going to reveal this scandal to her father, right, in France, and see what is going to happen. So that is the scandal, right? The revelation fueled by political ambition, and this is going to ignite a web of intrigue and betrayal within the royal family. There's political scheming going on. Everyone wants power. Everyone wants more authority, more money, more wealth. And so this curse that was initiated begins to come true, with the family unwinding because of scandal, with deaths that begin to happen, all the way to trusted advisors not only dying, but also essentially lying to the king and to his family members. So things begin to unwrap quickly. And so if you're looking at this book, you are looking at not a positive story, but an interesting story, one that is filled in with elements of novel, right? Elements of story. But it's going to really, if you don't know anything about the Capetian dynasty, this is going to be a wonderful way to be introduced to the story in real history through the means of narrative. And I would encourage you to read it, enjoy how things unfold, how things unravel, and I think you're really going to be hooked. There's high praise for this, specifically on the front cover here. George R.R. Martin, right? He writes, this is the original Game of Thrones. And so he says the original because, well, this is rooted in history. And it's true. History gives us so much when it comes to plot and betrayal and wonder and amazement. So check out Maurice Druon's The Iron King, Book 1, in his Accursed Kings series. Now I'm going to give you some spoilers. Okay, so you have read it. If you haven't, please go check it out. Read it, and enjoy it. If you have read it, what are some spoilers here? Well, some spoilers. The curse of the Grand Master, Jacques de Molay, is proved correct. As yes, death begins to plague the Capetian dynasty all the way to Philip the Fair himself, King Philip IV, dying at the end of this book. It is going to prove true all the way to the top, right? The affair, well, Marguerite and Blanche, these are the two sisters who were adulteries, who adulterated themselves in adultery, right? A little bit of a word confusion there. They're condemned to life in prison. They've had to watch their lovers be arrested, tortured, and killed. It's breaking them. Their mother, who Robert of Artois wanted to kind of stick it to, and why, is because she had claimed some of his land, and he wanted to pay her back. So how else to do it other than getting her daughters exposed for this scandal and then having them live in prison the rest of their life? These people are crazy. But that affair is exposed. Justice is served. They have a third sister, and that third sister originally is arrested. She's released because though she knew about the scandal, she herself was not part of the scandal. So she had a close call there. And then finally, Isabella, that's the King's Philip's daughter in England in the loveless marriage. She gets revenge over sort of her own jealousy for her sister-in-laws who have everything that she wanted, husbands that loved them and opportunities for family and for community. She's stuck over here in England with a king that doesn't love her and no one to care for her. And she sticks it to her sister-in-laws. And yes, much to Robert of Artois, her cousin's delight and pleasure. And so that's how the book ends. The book ends. I mean, it's crazy how it ends. And it takes you all the way to the last page. And I'll read you the last sentence here. The king is dying. He's on his deathbed. People have gathered around. And Brother Renaud moved forward to close the king's eyes. He's died and his eyes are open, right? And everyone goes, oh my word, the king's dead. But the eyelids, which had never blinked, and that's one of the things throughout the book, he would just stare at people with these almost blinkless eyes. He's presented as a very steady figure, King Philip, one who is sort of aloof, calculated, cool. So he says here, the eyelids that had never blinked opened of their own accord. Twice the Grand Inquisitor tried in vain to close them. They had to use a bandage ultimately to conceal the stare of this monarch who is entering eternity with eyes open. And so where will it go from here? Well, it's going to track his eldest son, Louis, and continue on from there. The next book is called The Strangled Queen, book 2 of the Accursed Kings series. So check it out. Let me know what you think about it. Is this something that you're interested in? Is historical fantasy something that you find intriguing? And let me know, what is a book that you've read in historical fantasy? I'd love to check it out if I've not read it. Thank you so much. Like and subscribe if you're interested. We'll catch you all in the next video.